Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story in which our OP was finishing his last shift at work and got an annoying customer. OP and his manager were a good team. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I once faked quitting to a nasty customer's face. So way back in college, I worked a summer job flying a register for a grocery store. This chain had a policy with your loyalty card. If there was an X number on the back, you could cash checks at our stores, and cashiers could use that number as an ID on checks for buying groceries. If it had a Y number, then it was just a card that someone had and had almost no information on file. It's my last shift before I go back to school. I'm standing at this register counting down the last half hour when this woman rolls up with a big cart full of stuff. I get started, beep, 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 and give her her total. She hands me the check with a Y number written on it. I ask to see her card, thinking maybe she's just written it wrong. Nope, it's a Y number. Me. Ma'am, do you have your driver's license with you? Her. No, I don't have it. Me. Okay, well, I can't take this check. Her. It's got a Y number on it. Me. I know. I can't take the check if it has a Y number, only if it has an X number. Her. Every other cashier always has. Me. They shouldn't have. I'll lose my job if I took this. That was my go-to answer to someone trying to pull this crap on me. Her starts screaming, "Then you can put all this back yourself, or you can take my damn check." Now, I'm 20 minutes from being done here. The managers love me. They think I'm funny. They're actually not happy I'm leaving, so I figure, well, let's just have some fun with this. So I whip off my vest, throw it on the floor, and scream back, "Me. Don't talk to me like that. I quit." I storm off to the office, take a seat, and one of the managers looks at me confused. I ask him to go out and talk to the woman at Register 2, who's still standing there with her mouth hanging open. He came back a few minutes later smiling. Me. How'd that go? Manager. Well, I told her you were right, and that she had just cost me my best cashier. I love how your manager played along with you, because some managers are too customers always right to do something like that. And our second story. The wrath of angry mom descends upon Chuck E. Cheese. I'm 17 years old at the time, working as a counselor for a summer day camp run by the city. We take our kids on weekly field trips, and today we're visiting an all-time favorite, Chuck E. Cheese. All the counselors love this place because it's fairly easy to keep all 50-plus children contained and within eyesight, plus the city provided us with money to buy enough pizza for all the children and counselors, which meant free lunch for us. We walk in the front door, get our hands stamped, and I seat my group in the party area so they can be entertained by animatronic Chucky while I go to the soda fountain to get their drinks. I fill up about 9 cups and then awkwardly bear hug them and waddle back towards where our kids are seated. I make it about halfway before I feel a sudden jerk on my shirt from behind, causing me to spill orange soda and Dr. Pepper all over myself. I turn around to find an extremely angry woman holding a crying toddler by the hand. Angry mom. Excuse me, that game just stole my son's tokens. Me. Oh, sorry. I'm 17 and extremely awkward. Absolutely no social skills. I have no idea how to handle this irate lady. Angry mom grabs me by the sleeve and drags me over to said game. Someone needs to fix this. It owes him 3 tickets. Me. Oh, sorry, I don't work here. Angry mom. Then why are you wearing a staff shirt? Now she's right, I am wearing a staff shirt. However, it clearly says Name of City Summer Camp Staff on the back. It's also neon green and looks nothing like the red polos and black visors that the Chuck E. Cheese staff wears. There are around 8 other counselors also wearing the same exact shirt, as well as 50 kids nearby with their bright green camper shirts. We're clearly an outside group visiting on a field trip. I apologize for the misunderstanding, again, and tell her that I'm here with the daycare, then continue my awkward waddle towards my kids' table. She rolls her eyes and storms away. While I'm a bit annoyed that I'm now covered in soda, I figure that the woman is just stressed from being surrounded by a ton of screaming kids and just got mixed up when looking for a staff member. I shrug it off and continue to retrieve drinks and pizza for my kids. They get their food and everything is fine. A few minutes later, the poor soul assigned to dance around in the Chucky suit comes strutting out from behind the stage and begins dancing to a Kidz Bop version of some pop song. He's instantly swarmed by our entire summer camp. Kids are crawling on him, pulling on his shirt. Some little a-hole is trying to get above him on the stage so he can pull his head off. Then I see her. Angry Mom has now decided that the appropriate person to confront about the ticket issue is Chucky himself. In her simple mind, instead of looking for a regular staff member, she's skipping the entire chain of command and going straight to the CEO. Surely he would not tolerate children having their tickets stolen by games in his establishment. She's closing in on him, shouting, excuse me, while pushing my children to the side. She manages to get about 5 feet away from him and starts waving her hands around frantically. One of your games is broken, she shouts over the music and screaming kids. Chucky clearly does not give a crap. He doesn't even see her. He's just trying to survive the waves of incoming kids. Angry Mom has had enough. She snatches up her kid by the arm and turns away, stomping her feet so that Chucky can see how visibly angry she is with his customer service. We are never coming back here again, she yells, making sure to glare at me and my fellow counselors on the way out. I guess I should mention that she left an entire uneaten pizza on their table when she stormed out, but somehow the loss of 3 tickets with a total value of about 2 cents when exchanging for prizes was enough to ruin her entire day. And our last story. I'm not giving my brother half the house in the business. My 38-year-old male parents died when I was 23, and my little brother, Adam, 27-year-old male, was 12. He inherited my parents' money in an account with me as payee until he turned 18, but he asked me to manage the account for him after that. It paid for his needs until he graduated and got a job in 2016, and it sat until 2020. I inherited the house, the family business, and massive debt. I planned to sell the business and house to move him to live with me, but Adam had a massive meltdown and the therapist I sent him to insisted he needed to be close to friends, even though we had no other family there and my entire life was in another country. Against my better judgment, I moved 4,800 kilometers back home. I quit my old job and broke my lease, tried to maintain a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend at the time, juggling my parents' business and trying to pay for a house with most of the mortgage left all by myself. I started dating Emily, now 34, when Adam was 16, and when he moved for college, he gave Emily his blessing to move in with me. We got married when Adam was 21, and we're expecting our first child. Emily helps me run the business, which barely survived 2020, the house is paid off, and I'm starting to turn a small profit again. In 2020, Adam lost his job, and I gave him the rest of his money in his account to support himself, and he asked me to handle the bills. Every month, I'd send him some food money and let him know his updated balance. He doesn't have enough to pay for the remainder of his lease, October, and I warned him in January that Emily and I can't afford to support him. I gave him 2 options: get a job and pay his rent, and I'd pay his food bill, or move home and live with us for free while working for the family business. He lost it, saying that it was my fault for sacrificing my life for the business and the house, and that he shouldn't have to give up his life since I was supposed to take care of him. I told him I gave up my entire life for him, and I struggled to keep the house and the business alive because he wanted me to. So I don't have cash to spare to support him because I have employees and a baby on the way. He insisted I sell the house and business and give him his half, and I reminded him that those were my part of the inheritance, not his, that I paid most of the mortgage, and I kept the business alive, and I didn't want to give up everything I worked for. Our grandparents, Mom's parents, late 80s I think, are the only living relatives we have. They live in a territory overseas and refuse to take Adam or help us because my parents didn't leave them anything. So I was stunned when I received an angry phone call from my grandma calling me a greedy B-turd and telling me I should be taking care of my little brother. I reminded her that he's 27 and needs to get a job and take care of himself. And I let her know I offered him both a home and a job with me, and he said no. A few days after, I sat down and had a video call with Adam. I told him that by the time I was his age, I'd been raising him for 4 years already, and I'd willingly supported him through the global pandemic. But now the job market was the workers' market, and it was time to get a job again. He laughed and asked if I was serious, and I told him I was, that I was removing myself as a payee on his account, period, because he'd been an adult for almost 10 years, and it was time for him to act like one. I said I did my duty and then some raising him, but I have an actual baby coming that I need to raise. I handed off all financial responsibility to him and wished him the best. He tried to backtrack and accept a position and home here with me, and I told him the offer no longer stood because I couldn't trust him to be a good house guest to my wife and eventually my baby. Nor could I trust him not to pull the "my brother owns the business" card that a few pointed out too. I told him he needed to stand on his own 2 feet, not for me, but for himself, that he needed to learn to be independent. There was yelling and crying after that, but when I hung up, I was dead certain it'd be the last time I have ever heard from my brother again. I heard from my grandparents during that time, but I told them point blank that unless they were offering to financially support a 27-year-old man, that I was done having any conversations with them regarding Adam and his inability to be responsible for himself. To my surprise, he called me today and told me he just got hired for a new job that he starts in 2 weeks, broke his lease and moved to a smaller, more affordable apartment and met his new neighbors, a brother and sister who helped move in his boxes and unpack his kitchen. They already have invited him to their next game night with their friends. He's still a little sore that I wouldn't let him have part of our parents' legacy, but he realizes he wouldn't have a new job and new friends if I hadn't kicked him into gear, and that with the way he acted, he didn't deserve it anyway. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.